You ever have one of those mornings where you walk into the shop and the air just smells like potential? Like everything is sharp, the workbench is actually visible for once, and you haven't managed to ruin a $50 piece of walnut yet?
Is that what that smell is? I thought you just finally cleaned out the shop vac. Happy Monday, Tiger. July 27th, 2026. We are officially in the heat of the summer, and apparently, the heat of the industry, too.
It's a big one today. We're looking at the heavy hitters. The FAB 40 list is out. And I'll tell you, looking at these big metalworking shops makes my little three-car garage setup feel like I'm trying to build a spaceship with a stone hammer and some wishful thinking.
Don't sell yourself short. Your stone hammer has a very nice ergonomic grip. But seriously, the Fabricator's 2026 FAB 40 is fascinating this year. It's not just about who has the biggest hydraulic press anymore, it's about who's got the digital brains.
Exactly. Major Tool and Machine is hitting their 50th anniversary, and they're solving the one problem that drives every maker, pro, or hobbyist absolutely mental: the material shuffle. You know, when you need that 1 6-foot length of square tubing, but it's buried at the bottom of a rack under 2 tons of channel iron, finding it is like playing a high-stakes game of Jenga where the prize is not getting your toes flattened.
I've seen you do that dance. It's less Jenga and more unintentional workout. But Major Tool is doing these automated storage systems now. It's all about efficiency because, and this caught me off guard, the growth is coming from AI.
That's the wild part. We think of AI as something living in our phones or writing bad poetry, but it needs a house, a literal physical house. All these data centers need precision welded enclosures and massive cooling systems. The contract shops that are winning right now are the ones who let the robots handle the repetitive seams so the humans can focus on the complex geometry. It's like having a shop apprentice who never complains about the heat or asks to borrow your good wood glue.
Speaking of people who actually know what they're doing, I want to talk about Jesse Carrera. He's our trade spotlight this week. He didn't just stumble into being a master contractor. He focused on something most of us ignore until it starts leaking all over the basement: the water heater.
The unsung hero of the American home.
Exactly. But Jesse's edge isn't just turning a wrench. He's leaning into the 2026 tech. When he pulls out an old rusted tank, he's not just dropping in a new one and heading for lunch. He's pitching smart home integration.
That's the secret sauce. If you can tell a homeowner, hey, this thing will text you before your basement becomes an indoor swimming pool, you aren't a guy with a pipe wrench anymore. You're a consultant. You're the guy who saved their hardwood floors. It's about moving past just fixing the leak and starting to manage the system.
It's a reputation builder, which leads us perfectly into our Maker Mogul segment. Everyone is trying to turn their Saturday afternoon tinkering into a side hustle these days. But Tiger, you've seen the mistakes people make. What's the reality check for 2026?
The biggest hurdle is realizing that people aren't just buying a cutting board or a welded garden gnome. They can get those at a big box store for $10. In today's market, you're selling the fact that you, a human with a pulse and a story, spent 4 hours agonizing over the grain direction. You have to be the face of the brand.
Which is terrifying for people who like to hide behind a welding mask.
Oh, believe me, I'd rather talk to a piece of white oak than a camera lens most days, but you have to show the process. And then there's the math. Most makers treat pricing like they're throwing darts in a dark room. You've got to account for the brand value multiplier.
I love that phrase. It sounds fancy, but it basically means don't work for free, right?
Essentially, it's your materials, your labor, your overhead, which includes the electricity for those fancy lights you like, and then that extra bit that says, I made this, and I'm the only one who could have made it exactly this way. If you don't value your own hands, nobody else is going to reach for their wallet.
And you suggested a tiered pricing model: a kit, a standard version, and a maker's edition.
Sure, give people a way to join your world. Maybe they can't afford the $500 custom stool, but they'll buy the $50 build-it-at-home kit that uses your designs. It builds a community, not just a customer list.
Speaking of building, let's talk shop projects. I saw you looking at that Craig Edge Build Challenge. Are you finally going to do something about those plywood edges in the pantry?
You really know how to poke the bear, don't you? My pantry edges have been raw plywood since 2022, and I've just been pretending I like the industrial chic look. But the Craig Challenge is actually a brilliant way to practice edge banding and pocket hole joinery. It's about making humble materials look like they belong in a museum.
It's the plywood glow-up.
It really is. And there's this great masterclass from Maker Channel on shoe rack solutions. Everyone thinks a shelf is just a flat piece of wood, but if you tilt those shelves and add a little adjustable stop, you can fit double the shoes in the same vertical space. It's the difference between a closet that looks like a crime scene and one that looks like a boutique.
I feel like we should warn people. Once you start customizing your cabinets, you can never stop. You'll be looking at the space under your sink and thinking, I could fit a 3-tier sliding spice rack in there.
It's a slippery slope. One day you're fixing a hinge, the next day you're building a hidden motorized spice rack that voice activates when you say cumin.
I'd pay to see you try to program that. Tiger, what's the one thing you want people to take into their shops this week?
You know, looking at the Fab 40 and Jesse's plumbing career, it's easy to feel like you're behind. Like if you aren't using a 5-axis laser or running a 6-figure business, you aren't a real maker. But the truth is, everyone on those lists started by wondering how two pieces of material could be stuck together.
So the takeaway is just start sticking stuff together?
Pretty much. But maybe use a square. Please, for the love of all that is holy, use a square. The world has enough wobbly tables. Whether you're welding a cooling rack for a data center or just trying to get your shoes off the floor, the craft is in the care you put into it.
Well said. That's our Monday motivation. Go build something, tag it with Hal or TigerDen built so we can see what you're up to. And check out the learning paths on the blog if you want to dive deeper into those welding certs or cabinet tricks.
Get out there and make something that'll outlast you, or at least something that doesn't fall over when you sneeze. We'll see you next time in the den.